In this video, I'm going to be showing you a 4-step process as well as a multitude of ways that you can reduce your screen time and save years of your life in the long run. It's no secret that apps are designed to hold your attention because tech companies want money, and the currency of the digital economy is time spent. So my 4-step process is 1, cultivate a desire to change. So changing starts with being aware you have a problem and acknowledging you want to change. It's in your best interest. So let's recognize why smartphone addiction can be bad. 4 hours and 37 minutes. That's the amount that the average American spends on their phone. For younger people, Gen Z, it is much higher. That equates to about 70 days a year. Also, research shows that 41% of adults report daily screen use before bed, which is associated with poor sleep quality and approximately 48 fewer minutes of sleep each week. More so than this, it's just about the time spent is away from your goals. Most people look at their phone too much, and most of us have an intuitive feeling that it feels bad, this isn't what we really want, and we feel like we're addicted to it and we're helpless. So just be aware of how it's not contributing to your goals, cultivate a desire to change, and implement the next steps. The second step is self-reflection. I was reading the book Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport, and I was reading it, and there's a lot of rhetoric I've noticed about people being very addicted to their phones for the social aspect because they want to constantly be in touch with others, they want to constantly be wired. And what I realized is that doesn't reflect my experience. In fact, I don't want to be wired. I don't really communicate that much online. Surely I communicate, but I'm not constantly texting or messaging people. For me, it's a content vortex. So maybe I'm different because I'm a bit more introverted. So what you have to do is reflect on who you are and decide what your needs and your wants are as it pertains to technology. For me, it was a content vortex. For someone else, it may be you're really trying to stay connected to people all the time. I don't know. So identify what your wants and needs and identify what positive purposes you want to derive from technology. The next step is optimize for that particular functionality. So you've identified some positive purposes that you're going to derive from your phone. So how can you optimize for that specific functionality without, say, adopting the entire app? So let's say you want to network, but let's say you want to use Instagram, but you don't want every feature. This was my case. I wanted Instagram because I wanted to use it as a networking tool, but I hated everything else about it. I hated getting addicted to scrolling. I hated comparing myself to my friends and feeling bad. So what I used is a multitude of apps, including one known as Scroll Less. And what this does is you can remove certain features of Instagram. So I can remove suggested posts, I can remove stories, I can make it so I only see DMs. So these different ways, you can completely block out the other stuff that's just going to sidetrack you. Another thing is only use the web browser version of these apps. If you know you don't really need it except in a web browser to communicate, then you're going to be much less likely to fall addiction into a content vortex, mostly because the scrolling UI is not as addictive with a mouse and keyboard rather than your phone. You can use an app known as Unhook, which works with YouTube, and what Unhook does is it completely removes suggested videos. So your home screen can be blank and you can go to your subscriptions tabs and only see the people that you're subscribed to and not all of the other random stuff. Funny story, but Herbie Hancock said his latest album has been delayed because he has a tendency to fall down YouTube rabbit holes. Isn't that crazy? We could have had another Herbie Hancock album by now. You can restrict yourself to only using the app at certain times. Let's say you do want to keep Facebook because you want to keep up with your cousin's baby photos. That's all fine and dandy, but you can wait to see that until the evening or something. You don't need to see it while you're working, while you're doing school. So completely, so you can completely restrict yourself. And that brings us to my next point, which is build systems to help. Trying to quit your smartphone addiction without building any systems is equivalent to saying, I'm going to quit sugar and then walk around with a sugar cookie in your hand 24/7. You're not exactly setting yourself up for success. So you have to ask yourself, how can I build systems to stay on track? So one, remove the app entirely if you don't need it. If you can't remove it, restrict it. Restrict it to only being used at certain times, which you can do with plenty of screen time apps. If you can't restrict it, then use the 4 laws of behavior change outlined in Atomic Habits by James Clear. And they are: make it invisible, make it unattractive, make it difficult, make it unsatisfying. So ask yourself, how can I apply these to any app that I want to make less desirable? And so you could, for example, make it invisible, remove notifications, take it off your home screen, make it unattractive, relabel it to a different name that's unattractive. Use grayscale mode to make everything less visually appealing. Make it difficult. Use apps like OneSec that add a timer before you can open the app. Make it unsatisfying. View your screen time on a regular basis and use that as a way to have high screen time be unsatisfying. Ideas for generally making phones less appealing. I outlined some of them. Notifications off. You can put your phone in a different room to make it invisible. And also outsource functionalities of your phone to other tools. Let's say you want to use your phone as a timer. You go to reach for the timer, but the interesting thing about phones is that it's not just one tool. It's a myriad of tools. So you may go to your phone with the intention of using it as a timer, but then you see an Instagram post and you get completely sidetracked. But if you had just used a physical timer, there's no one in the world who reaches for a physical timer and then forgets what they're doing. But that's what happens with phones because it has so many functionalities. So outsource the functionalities to physical things. If you use it as a timer, get a physical timer. If you use it as your alarm clock, get a physical alarm clock. If you use it to read, get physical books. If you use it to check the timing and then get sidetracked, use a watch. So these are always of outsourcing the functionality, which reduce your exposure to it, your phone in general, and also make it less likely that you get completely sidetracked. Make it unattractive. I mentioned grayscale mode, but there's a caveat to this. Most people try this. They put on grayscale mode. They think, oh, this is going to be fantastic. I'm going to completely reduce my screen time. Then they're watching a video and they're showing someone there and they're like, why is it so sad? They're like, oh, sorry, let me go in and change that. Turn on colors and you're like, whoa, this is so nice. And then after the video is done, you completely forget about it and you never turn it back on. It's a common issue, so what you have to do is automate grayscale mode in your phone to periodically revert back to grayscale mode on a regular basis. Now, I do this with the Shortcuts app in iOS, and I have it set up to go back to grayscale mode 7 times a day. So every few hours and during the daytime, it goes back. So even if for a moment I turn it off, it's going to go back. Make it difficult. Have a lock. Use brick. Make it unsatisfying. App for recording screen time. Get an app for recording screen time or use the built-in screen time features to see how much you're viewing and gamify trying to get that down. So those are my systems. My 4 systems are cultivate a desire to stop, self-reflect, optimize functionality, and build systems to help. And these are all the steps you can do to become a digital minimalist, take back control of your life, get back those 4 hours and 37 minutes. Okay, not all of them, because some of that's like using Google Maps or whatever. But the point is, there's still a lot of wasted time that you can get back and focus on what's important to you. I'm 22. I should be completely addicted to my phone and doom scrolling TikTok every day. But no, I changed my ways. I barely look at social media now. I use my phone plenty, but for useful things. And I find I'm much more fulfilled and I feel like I'm getting a lot done.